So, Jodie, who is your title favourite? Do we really have a three-way race as it stands?
I would still probably lean towards a two-horse race. I think it's out of Arsenal and City, personally. I know Villa are on such an amazing run, but I still have to go with Arsenal. I think they've been the best team in the league. I think they're the more solid. I know that they're missing, obviously, Gabriel at the moment at the back, but I just think what they're offering from a solid perspective, I think they just bring a little bit more to the table. But we've seen in previous seasons what a Pep Guardiola side can do, and you can't rule them out. And again, I know I've said it's a two-horse race there, but the form that Aston Villa are on until they come up against Chelsea at the weekend, then we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think it's a two-horse race.
Yeah, I mean, we heard from Dave there, fifth time that they've been top at Christmas and they didn't go on to win the league. Do you think they've learnt lessons from previous seasons and what happened?
Yeah, absolutely. I just think that they're a more established group now. They're more rounded as a squad. And I think the manager's a better manager than he was maybe a few years ago. I just think at the moment he knows his players really well. I think when you look at the performances that you're getting from your Sakas and your Declan Rices, your Timbers, I just think at the moment they're listen, I know we've looked at Arsenal before and gone, they've had a little slip up. I just don't see that happening this year.
We spoke about Semenyo and Manchester City potentially leading the race to sign him. If they do sign him in January, does that change things? Does that change the title race?
Well, I think if ever you can add to your squad and add quality to it, I think that's always going to be a huge plus. I mean, we've talked about Bruno Fernandes there. I remember when they went and acquired him in January. We was at Chelsea at the time, and I remember us just thinking if we could have gone and added someone like a Bruno Fernandes in January, it can change things, especially when you add a lot of quality. And as we said earlier, Semenyo's been one of the best attackers in the league. So if a Man City does do that, he's only going to be a plus point, I think. But at the moment, I don't think that Man City's problem is from an offensive aspect. I think defensively is where they're letting themselves down. But who knows?
Are top of the tree at Christmas, so can they convert this time? It's the fifth time they've been top of the Premier League at Christmas, and each occasion they have failed to get the job done. Should it be a psychological edge over other sides to be top at this time of year? Well, the chances actually of winning the league compared to not is quite negligible. A touch under 53% of the time the team top on Christmas Day goes on to win the title. But it's not all doom and gloom for Arsenal fans. I want to take you back to maybe a time of inspiration. 1997-98, and the greatest points deficit overturned to win the Premier League title. This is the points tracker from that season. We've got dates in the horizontal, we've got points in the vertical, and it shows Arsenal's line in red, just about pipping one of the great Manchester United sides in black to the title that season. Let's take you back to the autumn first of all. Arsenal had a shocking time of it. There were 3 defeats in 4 games here at the end of November, including a 1-0 loss at home against Liverpool. It was Steve McManaman who got the goal, cracking goal as well, 10 minutes into the second half. Look at that. It meant that Arsenal trailed United by 13 points at the end of December. Fast forward, though, to February, Arsenal still 12 points behind, but things took a dramatic turn. In March, United went 3 games without a win, culminating in an epic title tussle with Arsenal in March. This goal will be etched in the memory of Arsenal fans. Mark Overmars scored the winner at Old Trafford past Peter Schmeichel. Arsenal were 6 behind, but had 3 games in hand. And Arsene Wenger's side ended up winning 10 games in a row between March and May as they crept beyond United's points total to win it with 2 games to spare. Tony Adams scored a late goal as Arsenal beat Everton by 4-0 to clinch the Premier League title. Great scenes here at Highbury. And in doing so, Wenger actually became the first non-British manager to win an English top division league title since the inaugural campaign in 1888-89. Inspiration for Arsenal fans this Christmas.
Yeah.
Obviously, Arsenal signed Gyökeres, and I think everyone was hoping up top. He scores goals. He looks dangerous. Jesus actually comes in and he looks dangerous. He looks like he could score. He gets on the end of things, even though he didn't score last night. When I watch Gyökeres play, it's almost like he doesn't look dangerous at all. And then obviously Saka gave him the penalty the other day. Hopefully it'll be the same as Havertz when he first came, where that gives him that little bit of confidence to kick on. But how do you think Arsenal can help Gyökeres out going forward?
I kind of think it works both ways. I think he has to adapt to our system. If we're not going to change it too much to play to him and play him behind, because he likes to play on the shoulder a lot and kind of run in behind and have those kind of chances, then maybe he's going to have to adapt to what Arteta wants and drop deep a bit more. Because, like you say, when Mourinho plays and he is dropping deep a bit more, he still manages to get chances, right place at the right time. When Jesus comes on, he came on against Club Brugge in the Champions League, had 2 or 3 big chances, in 15 minutes. And Gyökeres, in the same game, didn't really have many chances. So, I think it's about us adapting to him and him adapting to us. I saw Thierry Henry did an interview a couple of weeks ago, and he spoke about when he was in the Invincibles team. When Freddie Ljungberg had the ball, he had to adapt his game to know, because Freddie was a different player to Robert Pires on the left wing.
He wasn't creative.
Pires is going to put it in behind. Ljungberg might, go on a run. How can I adapt my game to the players behind me? When Odegaard's got the ball, Gyökeres, maybe that's when you make the runs in behind. But when Saka's got it, maybe you get across the front post because he's going to cut it across.
Christian,
it's those kind of movements.
Sorry, Christian, even there with, Odegaard, I feel like since Odegaard's come back, Eze's performances has dropped off. And I like Eze playing as a real number 10 in there, because when he's around the box, he can shoot with both feet. I feel like there could be a goal here. Whereas even though Odegaard looks great, he keeps possession of the ball, he barely loses it, I feel like those passes that you expect him to do, he hasn't actually been doing. And there's been times this season when Gyökeres has made some good runs. And Odegaard's held on to the ball and not passed it and got it into them wide areas. I feel like Odegaard maybe needs to change his game to help him, or play Eze, because when it was Eze and Zubimendi and Rice in there, it seemed to be better. There seemed more like cutting edge, almost more creativity there. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think that's for Mikel on the training ground. That's for whether it is Odegaard or Eze saying, look, you've got a striker that loves to run in behind, in front of you. It's not a Mourinho that's going to drop deep and play 1-2s with you and then get out to the wing to get it in the box. Try and find those balls in behind. There's been many times where Odegaard has the ball in that kind of 8-10 position and Gyökeres is making that run. But it's about taking a risk, and I think Arteta in his way of coaching, he likes the percentages.
Systematic.
Rather than it is systematic, 100%. But rather than playing that risky ball that might get cut out, play the safe ball out to the wing, and then we're trying to get it in the box. Maybe we've got to take a risk. Maybe it is, play to his strengths, try and get him in behind a bit more, get him on the end of things, because I think he's a very good finisher. You say about the penalty that we gave him on the weekend, I don't think it was a pity confidence penalty. He has scored, I think, 5 in 15. The Havertz one a couple of years ago was different. He hadn't scored a goal yet. I think Gyökeres is a confident player. I just think it's about getting him in those positions, him adapting to the team a little bit. But all of that said, it's not doom and gloom. The vibes are a little bit down. I know we've conceded some late goals, but like I said, still top of the league, still top of the Champions League, semi-finals of the Carabao Cup.
That wasn't to you, that was just to Jay. I didn't tell him off. I can't tell you that, Christian.
Exactly. But I get it.
I've got a voice note from Joe. I want to get that in because it's relative. Okay, relevant.
When Jesus is playing, you give Jesus the ball, but when it's Gyökeres, you guys don't give him the ball.
There you are.
Okay, then, so if that's the case, which I don't think it is, then he's basically saying there, the rest of the team don't trust Gyökeres with the ball. Otherwise, why wouldn't you give it to him? When you see these big players, like, for example, Ekitike, he goes to Liverpool. Everyone's given the ball. But then again, I look at Ekitike and I say, he's evolved his game. He's coming into wide areas. He's dropping deep. His link-up play is very good. When he gets into them positions, he's clinical. I don't see that with Gyökeres. Okay. That's my problem.
OK, can I just interject as well? I want to show you both the stats, OK? Arsenal's conversion rate is currently 15.47. Now, since 2011, the only team to have won the league with a lower chance conversion rate, guess who? Leicester. So, Christian, are you worried? Look at that, Manchester City, their conversion rate at the moment, 22.87, not slash. That's a Christmas error. That's all I'm saying.
22.87.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got the best striker, arguably or the best goal scorer, shall I say, in Premier League history up front, it's, you know,
Christian
you're going to
knows
have a
his
percentage
football.
like that.
Christian knows his football.
But yeah, it is concerning. And like I said, it's been a problem at Arsenal for a couple of years. You know, this isn't just something that's happening now. I remember in the 22-23 season, although we scored a lot of goals, I remember playing against West Ham at home and having, I think, 25 or 30 shots and losing 2-0, you know. Like I said, 21 points from winning positions last season. A lot of those games, 1-0 up, have the chance to score the second, you don't, and you get punished in the Premier League. So it's definitely a concern, definitely something to work on, and we've got to start taking our chances.
But that said, you are still winning games. You know, I'm hearing a lot,
It's the defence,
dare I say,
Vicky. It is the
Arsenal
defence.
fans at times. One sitting to my left. But, you know, and you've only lost 2 games this season, and you're still winning. Even against Wolves, it was a terrible performance. You still got the win with courtesy of 2 own goals.
But that's where it's frustrating, because I know how good this team is. You know, I look at that Sunderland game. You're 2-1 up. That second half playing so well, have chances to, you know, kill the game 3-4. You can see that's 2 points dropped. But you know, Aston Villa, there was chances. There were other games where there were chances to kill games and have even more points, be even more clear as City, but we don't. And it's only 2 points.
I'm cutting in. Dean.
Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta walked out of press conference after 14-word question. Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta left a press conference after being asked about several of his players. Several Arsenal players will be experiencing their first Christmas Day celebrations as new fathers. The Gunners squad will be hoping for a brief respite before their Boxing Day fixture against Brighton on the 27th, as Mikel Arteta and his team navigate the demanding festive schedule. A year ago, there was perhaps even greater excitement amongst Arsenal's ranks as their Spanish manager was left momentarily stunned by a particular line of questioning. Gabriel Jesus and Kai Havertz both had expectant partners at that time last year, whilst Martin Odegaard had recently welcomed the arrival of his son with wife Helen Spilling. Saka, Trossard, and Jokeris to start. 4-3-3 Arsenal predicted lineup versus Brighton. Arsenal will welcome Brighton and Hove Albion at the Emirates Stadium this Saturday as they look to secure a good result at home in the Premier League. The Gunners managed to earn a win on penalties against Crystal Palace in the EFL Cup recently, which should give them a lot of confidence going into this game. Mikel Arteta will set his side up in a 4-3-3 formation and is expected to make a whole host of changes to his first team for this clash. Bukayo Saka, Leandro Trossard, and Victor Jokeris could all play from the start of this game. 4-3-3 Arsenal predicted lineup to face Brighton. Defense. David Raya will function in between the sticks for the Gunners after being rested in midweek. William Saliba will play alongside Piero Hincapié at the heart of the Arsenal backline as they look to keep things solid at the back throughout the game. Jurrien Timber will operate as the right back, while Ricardo Calafiori looks to put in a solid performance on the other side as the left back. Both of them will try to go forward and join in on the attack at every chance they can get. Miles Lewis-Skelly will offer cover for the left back position on the bench. Declan Rice, Martin Zubimendi, and Martin Odegaard will make up Arteta's midfield as they focus on establishing their dominance over the opposition at the center of the park. All 3 of them need to move the ball well if the Gunners are to create enough chances to win this contest. Eberechi Eze and Christian Norgard will have to be content with a place on the bench as they wait for their chance to make an impact in the second 45 minutes if required. Leandro Trossard will try to impress as the left winger, while Bukayo Saka looks to weave his magic from the right flank. Both of them would hope to get in behind the Brighton backline at every chance they can get. Victor Jokeris will lead the charge for the Gunners down the middle. He would be keen on finding the back of the net versus the Seagulls after being rested in midweek. Gabriel Jesus and Noni Madueke will make up the numbers on the bench and might come on to influence the game in the latter stages if needed.